Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kandra, Maryland Tule Lake farmer. Kandra Farms is struggling through its 99th year in the Klamath Basin. My Czech immigrant father came here because of the rich virgin soils and irrigation waters. The harvest of 2010 is a harvest of tears for my family and the communities in which I live. We have survived through decades of water conflict and finally are to a place where we have a plan for self-determination and resolution with most of our neighbors. Now a portion of our community, which has never suffered supply injury, dictates to us dams are more important than water to family farms and ranches, and restorations of fisheries vital to our local cultures, heritage, and economies. Tens of thousands of productive farms, acres lie idle today, not being harvested, and there is denial this very day by many that there is a problem and need to manage our water resources more wisely. The farming and ranching communities of Merrill, Malin, Tule Lake, Bonanza are suffering from devastating economic loss. And there's denial by leadership in Klamath Falls that their loss impacts their businesses or services. We are willing to sacrifice a $300 million industry for dam ideology and what produces a small fraction of economic value that the farms do. Dams do not grow food for our community and nation. Dams do not provide thousands of local living wage jobs. Dams do not pay mortgages, and dams do not raise and educate children. Healthy communities do, and our community is not healthy. Opposition to the water settlement is being financed by subdivision and disassembly of our family and farming community. Though there are those that will profit from this Holocaust and ethnic cleansing, look around this room and witness those that advocate dams are more important than viable and profitable family farms and ranches. The restoration agreement is about water for farms, family farms, and ranches. Klamath County posts signs that claim we honor veterans. Where is the honor when whole Klamath irrigation project districts that were settled by veterans only receive half the water they are promised for their sacrifice of blood, sweat, and life? The Klamath tribes give special honor to their veterans every time they gather. Do we? No dams are more important than honoring the sacrifice of our local veterans. Commissioner, my community of family farms, ranches, small business, and veterans and tribes grows weary of the greed, denial, and prejudice that dooms the Klamath Basin to being economic and political backwater for the rest of our great nation. It's time to take a stand.
Next is Jeff Mitchell.
Commissioners, I want to say just a few things to you today. Personally, myself, I've been involved in water issues on behalf of the Klamath tribes for almost 35 years now. I started in 1975 dealing with water issues on behalf of my tribal council, my people. 35 years, it's a long time. In those 35 years, we've gone through a lot of litigation, we've gone through a lot of heartache, we've gone through a lot of grief as a community. Our community has suffered in a manner that I believe no community should have to go through when I think back to 2001 and 2002. The KBRA was a work of many individuals that had one thing in common. We all have a property right and interest in the issue that we were trying to resolve. We have a property right and interest in the issue that we were trying to resolve. And we came together to find a solution that will enable us as a community, as a basin, to move forward. And that didn't happen overnight, and it happened with years of tough work and tough negotiation. I sat in many rooms as the lead negotiator for the Klamath tribes, working with a lot of individuals, and many of them in this room today. Some of them have said we were never represented, and that's not true. I personally sat down and negotiated many months with Upper Basin contestant representatives. We're still negotiating with folks, including the Upper Basin contestants, so we hope that we'll come to a resolution. What I do want to leave you with, though, is that this issue, we have an opportunity to bring it to a resolution. But I do want to say that this measure that's being brought forward can also unleash the potential of unraveling years and years of hard work. If this is the direction that you feel as a leadership you need to go, then I guess you'll do that.
Okay. Time's up, Jeff.
But we want to thank you, and we look forward to working with Klamath County in the future.
Thank you, Jeff.
New Klamath
Name
Tribes
and
Vice
address.
Chairman, Don Gentry, 10850 Switchback Road. I live on Dockney Flat on the Sprague River at the base of Saddle Mountain, where my wife and I pay taxes on 960 acres of property on the Sprague River, and we have cattle and horses out there. And I also come from a long line of ranchers and folks that have worked in the timber industry. And through my years of living in the basin, I've made friends with many people in the community. And I think that's important to state, because the Klamath tribes are concerned about the entire community, not just the Klamath tribes' interests. And that's why we got involved in the Klamath Basin Restoration Agreement. I believe it's in the best interest of Klamath County residents that the county commissioners continue to be involved in supporting local solutions to complex water issues affecting all residents of the basin. And local solutions is exactly what the KBRA represents. It was local solutions. It's not something imposed on us by outsiders. It was developed by those that were directly and have been directly affected and had something to put on the table in terms of rights and so forth to bring about the solution. So, though some in the basin haven't felt comfortable with the process, and some are uncomfortable with dam removal, it had to happen in the manner it had to bring it to come about. And the dam removal portion is a critical part of it. It's a part of the entire package, and it's important to the KBRA in restoring not only the economic stability of tribal fishermen and communities that are affected, but the coastal fisheries. And it's important to all of us. And I really think it's important to note that implementing the agreement will affect, in a positive manner, the entire basin. It provides for economic stability for the ag community. It maintains the jobs that are provided for that. And there are also more jobs that will be provided through implementing the agreement, through restoration activities associated with it, and through dam removal. And the dams under consideration cost the community a lot. As a tribal fisherman, and tribal fisheries down below are affected by the blockages of the salmon that would come here to the basin, and it affects the populations. They create water problems. There was just an article in the paper that referred to those dams as being green poison.
My name is Matt Walter, 18150 Sprague River Road. The citizens of Klamath County need to be represented in all aspects of every issue that affects the Klamath Basin. That is why the citizens have elected the Board of Commissioners. Any petition or resolution that ties the hands of the commissioners to act in the good of the county is kin to sticking one's head in the sand. Citizens of the Klamath need representation in the KBRA. The commissioners need to stand up for what is right. We are actually a small demographics in comparison to other supporters of the Restoration Agreement. Klamath County has 66,000 population, 33,000 registered voters, about 18,000 vote at any given election. If a percentage of those voters tie the hands of the commissioner, Klamath County will be sitting on the side with no input on future events that affect our county. Now let's look at just one organization that supports the Klamath Restoration. Trout Unlimited. It has 140,000 members. If they pull the resources and start to petition their representatives in regard to the Klamath dams and the Klamath KBRA, Klamath County will be further out in the cold. This group, Voters Opposed to Dam Removal PAC, pushed their petition agenda, want to make everyone believe in the fantasy world of status quo. Well, status quo means guaranteed 10-plus fold power rates to irrigators, which decreases the farmer's ability to supply jobs to workers. Status quo means water uncertainties, which lead major purchasers of crops, such as potatoes, to be reluctant to sign contracts, which in turn force growers to lay off workers. Status quo means continued litigation, which drains money from farmers and ranchers that could have been put towards enhancing the productivity of Klamath County. I will admit, litigation does create jobs for lawyers. Conservative voters, or voters opposed to dams, or patriots, or whatever they call themselves this week, want us to believe that their only agenda is for the good of the people. However, once again, I will state that PacifiCorp has said that it is in the best interest of ratepayers to decommission the dams. Here I have numerous documents that substantiate that claim. Last week I brought up this issue of agendas of various members of the groups and their litigation against various parties involved in the KBRE. I referred to a UBC defeat in a suit against the tribe's water users and water resource board. Well, what do you know? In about the last week, 2 new lawsuits have materialized against participants in the KBRA. These frivolous lawsuits will drain hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the basin, yet will any of this litigation create jobs? No. Enhance the basin's economy? No. Make Klamath a better place to live? No.
Okay, your time. And if you have testimony, we can put it into the record.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Walter.
I want to thank the authors of this petition for the opportunity to educate the public on a much larger scale in the media. And to the media, I thank you for your coverage here today. Our farming and ranching heritage is priceless. Farmers and ranchers are the backbone of our county, indispensable providers of the food and now energy as well. That has enabled the United States to remain stable and strong throughout our history. We farmers and ranchers are America's true patriots and pioneers who stand for the ideals that most of us hold dear. May God bless us today as we seek His truth and wisdom. The farms and ranches in Klamath County provide 4,500 jobs and $300 million in revenues annually. Agriculture is not part of the Klamath economy. It is the Klamath economy. The Klamath Basin Restoration Agreement will give this county the power to create our own jobs, the power to improve our economy. KBRA equals jobs, and KBRA equals community power to the people. The KBRA will invest $900 million, $1 billion in the Klamath watershed. These funds will create thousands, be used for thousands of jobs. This petition, which was written in ignorance of our state constitution, puts a lack of credibility on the authors and their true agenda. It is expensive also, costing taxpayers $50,000. To do what? Absolutely nothing. No effect whatsoever on removing dams or leaving the dams in place. You see, the dams are not a voting issue. They are privately owned electrical generators. They will operate at a $20 million per year deficit, all paid for by the PacifiCorp ratepayers if they are left in place. Bottom line, PacifiCorp has found it in the best interest of their customers to remove the 4 hydroelectric dams on the Klamath River, unquote. Our global counterparts are watching our methods and decisions closely, as is our God. The KBRA has been a spiritual quest of fact-finding and truth-seeking. and doing something that will make the world better. We accept inherent struggles like this petition before us now, and we forgive the authors for their misunderstandings of the Klamath Basin Restoration Agreement.
Kathy, time is up. If you will submit the rest of it, we'll put it in the record.